Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to the Q&A. I've been doing a bit of thinking on the Q&A. I've been umming and ahhing. I was looking at how many comments came through. I mean, it's a good thing. There's about 96 comments on the press conference. That's about 50 more than I had in round one. Obviously, people see the Q&A answer video and probably jump on board. Not all of them are genuine questions. Obviously, some are just comments. Some are, quick little, messages. But look, I will look to be more succinct in regards to how I do it, because I was finding, last video and with even more questions, the video is going to be at least an hour by the time you do some editing and just generally find the time, print questions off, do a bit of writing on certain questions. So I've just got it up on the laptop here and just going to whip through them. A lot of the questions are regarding, Hibbert and certain rookies and Bond, a couple other guys like that. So I will try and be a little shorter with some of them, but I will look to get through them all and certainly see how we go. But look, I'm just answering them from top to bottom in how they appear on the YouTube channel in the comments section. So I won't obviously have that, table of contents, call it if you like that, but when I have the video scrolling through in what order I'm answering them. So hopefully you find your question answered nice and quickly. But I think also in the future what I will most likely look to do is maybe just go live. Obviously you can do a bit of a live video just through YouTube, so potentially that might be a bit better because you can do it right there and then. Everyone knows when it's on. You can get it going, publish it straight away. There's not that background work that's in, sometimes it can take a while, and particularly if you don't have a day off when you want to do it, then all of a sudden it can be quite tricky to get it out when you want to. But look, I'll get stuck into it. That is what I'll be doing from now on. So yeah, we'll just play it by ear in terms of how we'll go about it. Check out the Instagram account I've made as well, guys. That'll be good to get a bit of personal stuff from Shorty, some live stuff, stories and whatnot, bit of background behind the scenes and things like that. So Shorty SuperCoach is where you'll find that. The link is also in the video I posted the other day. So obviously I had a few microphone difficulties the other day, so there was a bit of a echo going on with Shorty. So thanks Jack, Gizim, a couple of people just letting me know. And I did enjoy Troy's comment, out Hibbert in new microphone. He's always a good chance for a bit of funny stuff, is Troy, so thanks mate. I did have a chuckle at that one. Hayden Reynolds, why is Giles Langdon out? A couple of people asked that, I think. He's cracking the hand, I believe, so he's out for a month. So that's no good for a man who's been, looked like a reasonable cash cow in a pretty shallow forward line. Kelly Nagrom, thanks again, Kelly, is a regular commenter. Going a little better than the superstars right now with a score of 2,326, ranked in the top 3K. Good stuff, Kelly. That's a really good start. As you probably know, I'm not a fan of Ponky Bond, so thank you. I think you should drop him sooner rather than later when you have other value guys like Sal, Canelo, Parker hitting it out of the park each week. However, if you want to keep the faith a few more weeks, I totally get it. You obviously believe him in his selection in 2018 more than I do, which is fair enough. Well, yeah, I think I will stick with him and probably have a couple of more important issues to deal with in the likes of getting Liam Ryan and getting rid of Christian Salem. What else we got here? My own trades involve getting in Tim the Tarantula Taranto, who is getting some serious midfield time this season. He certainly is, which is good to see. Even more assured now with Scully injury, and also bringing in Cade Simpson, who looks like he could be the top defender this season, currently higher average than Laird, and a steal at 516k. No, he is looking very good. Certainly he is their exit man, that's for sure. No Doherty and the like, so certainly he's finding plenty of the pill. So thanks for the comment. Double the Shorty from Wide Shadow. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Sean Daly, do I trade Crouch to Martin, Mitchell or Kelly? Well, look, I think if you can afford any one of those, my selection would be Dustin Martin, and certainly you could toss a coin between them and Mitchell. Certainly Martin or Mitchell for me. Shorty, I think you should really consider trading Bond. His break even is 175, which is almost impossible for him to get to. And if he has another shit game, his price will drop really badly from Wilson Quatch. Well, yeah, understandable, mate. I mean, it doesn't really worry me if his price drops or not if I go with him. I mean, it's sort of like if you continue on with him, the price is sort of irrelevant because you're basically committing him to the long term. Obviously, if I was thinking I would trade him out at some point, then yeah, that point would be right now. But I will keep faith with him. You're not going to trade a premium out after round 3 or 4. I mean, you're either going to do it after round 2 before their price drops if you've got concerns, or you're going to do it maybe later in the season if you've got the luxury of upgrading them or something like that. But really, I think you're going to do it before the price drops and changes. Otherwise, you're committing for the long haul. Thanks for the question, mate. Now, Jumps, what should I prioritise out of these trades? Sideways trading Michael Hibberd or trading Zach Langdon to Liam Ryan? I would definitely be doing the Langdon to Ryan trade. I think we should be patient with Hibberd. I know there is a bit of concern. Obviously, he's not quite taking as many kickouts as he once was. I think Vince and Lever, Lewis are maybe having a slight impact on him. So I understand the concern, but I think I would be prioritising getting in Liam Ryan, as he will make you a lot of coin. And I don't think it should be panic stations on Hibberd. And I certainly always err to the side of getting those rookies in rather than losing faith in a premium who's been a long time proven one. So thanks for the question. Seb Franco, thanks mate, long time listener. He had a nice week, 2,251, going quite nicely. Sicily stuffed me, had a shocker game and gets rubbed out. I have cover in Norton and Murphy, so that's obviously not ideal. Yeah, that is a bugger, mate. Obviously, you know, those guys, they haven't really been reliable scorers, have they? So while they're playing and a bit of depth in our back lines, they're not guys we want to be fielding. But yeah, I do hope you stick with Sicily because I think, as I mentioned in the weekend preview, I think that's the way we should be going. Certainly, you've started with him. I think we've got to show him some faith. Even though he got rubbed out and he didn't score well, I think it's only 1 week. And unless you need to do a bit of free coin, you know, if you're going to Riley Bonner or something like that, if you needed to get some coin, then, you know, maybe it helps you elsewhere. But if we're purely looking at Sicily, I think definitely hold on that one. As you say, yes. Also, the Cats game was a beauty. Danger Woodlet looking good. Hey, Shorty, might need to consider bringing the Little Master in at some stage. He's looking the goods. Yeah, it was, mate. It was a ripper of a game. The atmosphere was unbelievable towards the end there. It's always shattering when you lose, even more so to the arch enemy. But it was a great game, and yeah, certainly the 3 guns in the middle were fantastic. And when they were all in there at once was great to watch. And moving on, Wilson 3-1-70. Dude, this team isn't crash hot. Good luck though. Yeah, no, well, it's early days, mate. Early days. How are you going with your side? Hopefully a little bit better than me. But look, it's only 1 bad week, mate. So give a little bit of time, a bit of faith. Moving on to Clutch. He's showing a few of his trade thoughts. Out Sicily in Savage. Out Norton in Murphy. Thoughts? Yeah, look, as I said, I think if you've committed to Sicily, I'd be more inclined to keep him. I like the Norton to Murphy. I think that's probably a better option. You know, Murphy looks quite solid in that Adelaide lineup. He's going to score a bit better by the looks of it. Norton is struggling to score points, and he can free up 60k immediately. So 2 little wins certainly suggest yes on that one. Sicily is a bit of horses for courses. I can see why people would trade him. He's only had 1 good score, now he misses. I understand that, but I think if you can cover him, then I think you should probably continue with him because I do feel that he's going to average somewhere in the 90s, and it's probably going to come with scores like that. 1 good one, 1 not so good one. I don't think he's going to produce your Hibberd sort of Simpson numbers of between 85, 115 most weeks. I think we're going to see more 120 pluses and a lot of other defenders, but also a few sub-70s, which might have us pulling our hair out from time to time. But that's probably going to be the Sicily ride. So I can't fault Savage, though. I've brought him into my team, if that helps you at all. Talk too much, doing likewise, showing his trades. Out Crouch in Ryan, out Norton in Simpson. So obviously sort of getting in some premiums and getting in a Liam Ryan, which clearly we'll want to be doing. So I think that's pretty good, mates. I mean, in essence, it's, you know, Simpson in for the out premium of Crouch and trading the rookies Norton down to Ryan. So I think that's pretty solid, mate. I think that's looking pretty good. I couldn't really argue with that. That's good stuff. Blair Archer, have Norton, Clark, Angus Brayshaw plus 100k. Thinking Clark this week because he will lose more cash. Clark down to Waterman and Brayshaw up to Cornelio. Thoughts? Yeah, always certainly Clark's out of the side, which you would have seen by now, so that one's a no-brainer, no doubt about that. I haven't minded what we've seen from Brayshaw. I understand Cornelio's been outstanding. He's really started the season extremely well. Is he going to be a top 10 mid? Not sure. Early signs suggest yes. Will he continue this? We'll have to wait and see. I've liked what I've seen from Brayshaw. I think he's going to be a pretty handy cash cow. I think he's still capable of a 90-plus score. I think we'll see it sooner rather than later. I would certainly endorse that first trade. I wouldn't absolutely say rush and get Cornelio for Brayshaw because I think he's pretty handy and doesn't deserve to be chopped, in my opinion. But if you really do want to go after some points and get Cornelio, then look, I can't blame you because he is flying and will miss the boat because once this week goes, he's certainly going way up in value. Legless Gaming, if you pick Sailing, probably should be doing SuperCoach. I presume you mean shouldn't be, but look, we all hit and miss from time to time, mate. Saucy Boy, could go Dalhouse to Buddy. Bit of a rage trade, but I'm pissed off at the dogs in general. Yeah, look, I know what you mean, mate. I certainly was watching the game a bit on the weekend, and there were a lot of dogs out there who had stinkers, and certainly Dalhouse was one of the main ones. Does handball a lot, doesn't he? You know, which really hurts when you're trying to fight back some points and look for quick points, and he's just, you know, sort of getting the handball out, a couple of points. You know, it's a bit of a grind with Dalhouse. I can understand that one. I could understand it. I mean, look, you've gone with him from the start. My golden rule is to continue with premiums and show faith. It is a bit of a rage trade, but I probably wouldn't have endorsed Dalhouse from the start. So there are probably better options, and Franklin is probably one of those. So I can understand that because the dogs are in carnage. He's going to lose value. Probably now's the time to pull that trigger because he doesn't look like he's back to that sort of form that really made him a premium. And that's probably what you were looking for. So we haven't seen that, so I can understand it. So probably fair enough. Spaceman, always a good contributor. He's had a pretty handy week. Or pretty similar to me, I should say. 2192. He dropped out 22k. Yeah, it's a tough gig, isn't it, mate? You don't have to drop off too much to fall a hell of a lot of spots at this stage of the year. Ended up trading Cruiser to Nick Nat on Saturday, which really annoyed me because it would have jumped all over Goldie had it been announced the day before. Yeah, that is a very good point. I know sometimes when previous years things get announced or named before or after certain stages and you're pulling your hair out because you would have, if you had all the available information, you would have done this. That's where you sort of got to have a bit of a guesswork, and that is disappointing and unlucky, that's for sure. This week I'm going Crouch to Dangerfield, Rayner to Liam Ryan. So can't argue with that, mate. If you can get in Dangerfield, then fair enough. And yeah, Rayner probably hasn't set the world on fire. He's been good without being great, but you know, obviously he's a more expensive rookie, so a good opportunity to free up some cash, which you've done there. Killer Creed scored 21.56 last week, had a pretty bad start of the year. Taylor Adams hasn't been scoring well for me, so do you think I should trade him? I'll continue on after this one, but yeah, I would definitely trade him. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to be right up there in terms of our midfielder. I probably wouldn't have endorsed him to start with, so certainly now is the time to correct that one. I have enough cash to get Tom Mitchell, as I have 93k in the bank, or should I bring in Finlayson instead? In terms of going Adams to Finlayson, is that what you're talking about? Look, I would do everything I can to get Finlayson because he is looking like one of the very best rookies, so certainly get him in. If you're talking about a direct trade, well, yeah, I'll be looking to go Adams to Mitchell if you can do that. And I would hope you would still be able to get Finlayson in because he's bargain basement, so you should absolutely get on him. I had Cam Rayner on the ground in my forward line who only scored 20, while Ryan was on the bench who scored 115. Yeah, I know. It's tough, mate. I mean, you can't really help that sometimes. I mean, I think everyone, if you had have said, look, start of the week, Rayner, Ryan, most people go Rayner. I'd say just about everyone. I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes. But, yeah, it is a bit unlucky. I think I made a mistake getting Rayner. Should I trade him? If so, who should I get for him? Yeah, look, it's tough because there's no one really banging the door down. I presume you've got him in the forward line. If you can switch him into the midfield, then Finlayson would be your boy. Otherwise, do you have Fritz? Do you have Waterman, Venables? You've got Ryan, as you said. I mean, I don't think Waterman and Venables and that are must-haves, and I'm presuming you've got Fritz. So I'd probably just, if you can't get Finlayson, then I'd probably just hold Rayner, because there's probably not other guys that are just banging the door down to come in. So I'd probably hold fire with that. But thanks for the questions, mate. Gruffy, Shorty, yes, you need to trade Salem, but move Finlayson back and get Canelio, mate. Thank me in the next video. No, thank you, mate. Thanks for the advice. Certainly Salem is going. I'm not sure I'll be getting Canelio, but I would love to move Finlayson back. But last time I checked, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I've got a dual position guy floating back there. But no, thanks for the advice, mate. Salem is definitely going. Gizem, thoughts on Hibberd being third most traded out? His disposal efficiency is still high at 80%, but not getting enough of the ball. Yeah, spot on, mate. He's not necessarily doing anything bad with the ball. It's just the quantity, as you suggested. So I can see why people are jumping off. I mean, I wouldn't, but it always goes like that. Premiums start poorly and people jump ship. I mean, it always happens. I would be showing a bit more faith than that. You'd like to think he can get back to his running best, but, you know, sort of getting plenty of handball receives. Hopefully he can take a few more kick-ins, get a few more of those cheaper points and touches, but we'll have to wait and see. 300 Warrior, check your Facebook messages, Shorty. I don't really check them, to be honest, as probably a lot of people know. And same will go with Insta. I'm not really, you know, those platforms, I try and limit how much I use them anyway. I mean, I don't like using my personal ones that much, because if you have all these apps and different platforms, you find yourself almost anchored to your phone for most of the day. So I try and limit that. Sorry if I haven't got round to one of your questions, but feel free to ask them in here, because that is where I will look to do them. I can bang them out in half an hour, 45 minutes. That's sort of where and how I like to do it, rather than, because I know you sort of start answering one question, then another, and all of a sudden people reply at different stages, and all of a sudden you're replying to your own friends, you're replying to your subscribers with questions and stuff. So hopefully you can empathise with how difficult it is to keep up with everything, and how I personally like to have as little technology going on in my face as I can, if possible. But yeah, sorry, mate, but certainly feel free to ask a question on the YouTube channel. Sluggy, Luke Parker or Paddy Cripps, should I trade Bont? As I mentioned, I would keep the faith with Bont, as I am doing, and definitely Cripps would be my man. I think you got to have him. I would have definitely started with him. I think a lot of people did, and I think he's a man. I know Parker's probably in some good form, but I'm still not convinced he's a guy who can do it over the whole season. His season averages over the last 3 or 4 years have been quite up and down. I think Cripps is going to be the more safe suggestion there. Jack Dawson, I scored 21.43 and had Sam Jacobs on the bench for my captain loophole and forgot to put him as emergency. I know. Oh, goodness, mate. So I missed out on 116. Yep, look, that hurts. That's hurt. You've had a good week, mate. You've virtually had a 22.50 plus. I mean, that's all right. Yet you just haven't whacked the emergency on. Well, I'll tell you what, you'll never make that mistake again, I'll tell you that. But I think a lot of people have done that in the past. The loophole is a bit tricky at times, but I'm sure you won't make that mistake again. Also had Ryan and Finlayson on the bench. Who should I trade in for Kane Lambert? He's in the same boat as Salem, has to go. McLean, Devon Smith, Petrarca are some choices. Any others he'd suggest? No, I'd say you'd be right on the money there. I think they're the guys you'd want to be looking at. I mean, you know my love affair with Petrarca, but look, his probably disposal efficiency or a few clangers have hurt him early. Of those 3 guys, I'd have to suggest McLean. Probably put him at number 1. I mean, you could throw a blanket over most of them, really. I mean, they're all options that I really like. 2 of them in my side. I think McLean's a really good option. Libber's out. He was already going to get a bit more midfield time. He's going to get even more now. So I really like him as an option. Attends plenty of centre bounces. I think he's a really good selection. But to be fair, any 3 of those guys, I don't think you could go wrong with. So certainly good stuff there, mate. Yeah, no, what do you think of trading O'Meara for Holman and Rayner for Taranto? I'd certainly be getting in Holman, and I like the O'Meara to Holman frees up some good coin, and Holman's a must-have. Rayner to Taranto, not so sure. I mean, Taranto's going well, but will he keep this form up? Will he be a top 6 to 8 forward? I'm not so sure. I mean, he's going well, but I couldn't endorse that one. I think there's just a bit too much risk. I mean, when we're trading up to guys, we want to have a fair bit of certainty about what they're going to give us. I mean, I think Taranto's the sort of guy that, you know, you would start with and take a punt on him without wasting a trade, where there's a chance that you could bring Taranto in. He doesn't keep up this form, and you've got to trade him out at some point. So I'd like to have a bit more of assurance that you're trading a guy in who we know will be in your team for the rest of the season. So certainly get Holman in. I'd suggest, you know, maybe assess something else. You know, maybe if you want to hold faith with O'Meara, you might just go Rayner to Holman if you can do that. But look, that's probably my thoughts on that one. That's baller. Salem to who? I'm tossing up going to Christensen or Taranto and banking a fair bit of cash, or I can go Cornelio. Thoughts? Yeah, it probably just depends. As I mentioned with Taranto there, I mean, I'm probably not a massive fan on bringing Christensen or Taranto in, because I think if you were ever going to have them, you would have started with them. I don't think they're guys to trade into your team. So I think from that, I've got to just go Cornelio. I mean, I think it's hard to argue with his numbers. He looks like he's going absolutely brilliantly. He's slotted perfectly back into that midfield. So it'd be hard to argue when you throw up those options. I'd have to say Cornelio. Felix J, I disagree on the Bont. I had him for the first 2 rounds. Don't think he has the potential to consistently get 110 week in, week out. So this is the trade I made, out Bontempelli in Clayton Oliver. Well, yeah, I understand, you know, that, mate. And certainly I'm not 100% confident. I'm just sort of, you know, sticking to my guns more or less, and the fact that Salem's got to go, and I feel like I should get in Liam Ryan for the injured Langdon. You know, maybe if I had 3 trades available this week, then maybe I would pull the Bont trigger. But look, I can understand that. I mean, Clayton Oliver, he's very, very reliable. He's in great form. I can't argue with that, mate. That's a fine trade. Sammy278, thanks for the comment, mate. You're often a contributor, so thank you. I'm in a similar boat to you, Shorty. Scored 21.96 and 21.78. I started with Hunter Clark, unfortunately, so he will have to go this week. And I trade in Jaden Stevenson or wait a week, get Clark's rise about 10 to 20k, then trade in Sarah. Well, yeah, well, Clark won't be getting that little price rise now that he's been dropped, so I think definitely pull the trigger on Clark. I'm holding Norton and Bont, and probably going to hold Langdon as well, as I already have Fritz and Ryan, but I could trade in Waterman this week for him. Apart from that, my team is looking pretty good, and I believe that is still capable of scoring 2400s. I just need all my premiums to fire at the same time. Yeah, it's always the juggling act, isn't it, mate? You just want them to all fire on the 1 week. But, yeah, obviously Clark should go, and I'd probably be getting in Waterman or someone like that. I mean, I think Langdon, he's going to miss a month, and he might come back through the knee. Or is he going to just slot back into that side? I mean, the jury's out. I mean, he could become fit again. Then he might not get into the side till round 8 or 9. So I would trade him. I mean, you've got to make money in the now. You know, there's no point sort of waiting. It'd be different if he was a premium, or, you know, a guy who's just scored 99 and 94 and he's ready to go bang back in the team, make you cash. But he's only averaging, what is about 50 odd. So I don't think there's any need for us to hold him. Get money in and get it going now would be my suggestion. Tom Elliott, I currently have Langdon on the bench, and Ryan seems the obvious replacement. However, I got unlucky with Crouch and also Marley Williams. I was going to go Williams down to Bonner and Crouch up to Dangerfield, but since Langdon is out, I don't know what to do. Is getting Ryan in more important than getting rid of Williams and Crouch? Give me a sec, mate. I honestly haven't really taken much of a notice of what Williams has been doing, so I'll just bring his stats up. But as I suggested in the weekend preview and also in this video, I mean, it's paramount to make sure you get the right rookies in and go well there. So certainly try and get some coin flowing. What's he been doing? Marley Williams. Gee whiz, yeah. 61 and 66, yeah, he's stinking it up. There's no other way to say that. That's disappointing. Yeah, well, he's going to plummet in price, isn't he? So sort of now is the time you're going to have to do it. Break even of 106. look, mate, I would personally be saying I think it is important that you get Liam Ryan, and it's certainly important that you get rid of Williams. I think Dangerfield, his price isn't going anywhere yet. I know you will miss out on premium numbers for this 1 week, but we do have a lot of coverage through that midfield. I mean, you've probably got Holman, you've probably got Kelly. We've got some good scorers through that midfield. So I reckon just for this 1 week, I reckon you could go Williams down to Bonner. Otherwise, Bonner's going up, Williams is going south. You could miss the boat there. So I'd pull that trigger, and I would get in Ryan for Langdon before he goes right up. I know you might lose, say, 60 points or something because you don't have a Croucher or Dangerfield to sort of miss that premium. But I think long term, that'll make you more money, and in the future, that will certainly serve you better, and get that premium in next week for Crouch. So that would be my suggestion. Norton to Bonner, thoughts? Yeah, couldn't argue with that. I mean, Norton's struggling for scores, and I really like Bonner. I think he's a real likely type. Bit of a lower score in the wet, but I think most dry days he's going to find plenty of the ball. I think he's a good option. So yeah, fair call, mate. Thanks, Paddy Lyons. Didn't give you a shout out there, but good call. Who else we got here? Tommy C. Callum Mills, keep or trade to Ryan/Shaw. I'm presuming that's probably Luke Ryan. We've talked a lot about Liam Ryan and made the joke about it in the video I posted the other day, but he's a very, very solid player, Luke Ryan. Yeah, look, Callum Mills, he's probably just not ready for that real premium status, is he? I mean, he would have killed you last week after a reasonable round 1. If you're weighing up between those guys, you'd probably have to go Shaw. I mean, he is looking good. I don't think he'll keep up this sort of scoring. I probably think he and Ryan will score an average similar, but Shaw's probably the safer, more well-known pick. I mean, we probably know and feel a bit safer with him, so I'd probably go that if you're weighing up just those two guys. Aaron Taylor's big comment, mate. Thank you. G'day, Shorty. Had a slightly down week. He scored 2,410. Made the Ryder trade last week, but passed on Martin and went Goldstein and Seb. That worked very nice. Also had players like Lloyd, Wingard and Sicily not having great weeks. That's disappointing. Few poor scores. And yeah, Salem definitely has to go, mate. Absolutely. I do disagree with you on Bont, however. I also have selected him, believing he could go 110 to 115, but just can't see it happening. The Dogs are looking terrible at the moment. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, people can lose faith quite quickly. I mean, hopefully, for me, he can become a point of difference, but I'll be keeping the faith with him for the moment. He has an insane break-even as well, so without any other pressing issues. And yeah, that's it, mate. I mean, probably if you don't have any pressing issues, then yeah, that's probably a fair call, and I can understand that, but I've probably got a couple of other areas that I probably need to attend to that, as I mentioned earlier in the video, probably are more important for me to pull the trigger on a couple of other guys ahead of Bont. So I'll make a correctional trade up to Oliver/Dusty, who I feel will comfortably beat him this year. Best of luck with your trades. Thanks, mate. Thanks for your comment. Always good to see a big comment with plenty of info in there. That's yeah, good to see. And yeah, you can't go wrong with Oliver and Dusty, mate. I mean, both of them will be great picks, so you'll be well served there. Again, Luke is asking why is Langdon out. As I mentioned earlier, broken hand, I believe, 4 months, or 4 weeks, I should say. Who else we got here? L Tux, bad luck, mate. I feel your pain with Salem. I've got Wietering, and that has been a total disaster. Bont must go also. Really don't like the way the Doggies are setting up. Yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, we all have those painful selections at times, but yeah, Wietering certainly got to go, that's for sure. And yeah, look, with Binders, I've discussed it a few times, but I'm hoping that Redpath coming back, and I hope Tom Boyd's name, I think that might give the Dogs a bit more structure. I'm really hoping, I guess it's a bit of a fingers crossed optimistic view, but as I mentioned, he's not my most pressing issue, and I'm hoping with those key position guys, I know they lose Trengove, but I'm hoping he doesn't play as much forward as we've sort of seen, because playing forward's all well and good when you're in a decent team, but when the Dogs are struggling and, you're getting cold up there, so certainly, yeah, hopefully, plenty of midfield minutes. Archie Prime, what to do with Hibberd? Yeah, look, I would hold faith, mate. I know a lot of people are getting rid of him, but I think he's a proven premium. I'd expect him to bounce back. So I would just hold the faith there. I mean, that's obviously generally my default setting. I prefer to hold guys that have proven it over the journey. I know that there's been maybe a few guys coming to that Melbourne team, different guys in the back half. Is that affecting him? I haven't watched Melbourne too closely over the first 2 weeks, so it's hard for me to exactly tell their structure. But generally speaking, I would hold. Thanks for the question, mate. Hayden Munro, sailing to Cade Simpson for me. Cannot argue with that. A man in great form for a man who's in putrid form. Ben Leonard, Chad has always been up and down scorer. That's why I left him out. And is Hibberd worth a trade? As I mentioned, mate, I'd hold the faith with Hibberd. And look, I'm really optimistic on Wingard. He had a poor game, but I really think he's going to be a good selection this season. I mean, I haven't lost faith with him at all. I was obviously very disappointed, but I'll be certainly watching him closely on Saturday. But I'm still fairly confident he'll be a good pick. Carlos have all main rookies for the first time in my life. Do you think Hibberd to Cade Simpson is a waste of a trade? As I mentioned a couple of times already, which you may or may not have heard, yes, I probably do. It's a bit sideways for me. Keep the faith with Hibberd, and I hope he produces on the weekend just to back up my faith in him. Even though I don't even have him, I'm telling all you guys to keep him. So hopefully he makes me look good and not a fool, and hopefully rewards you guys too. And good job on the rookies, Carlos. Max Thompson, have Caddy, want to trade him. We'll have just under 500k. Should I go Rayner to Ryan? Yeah, I think so. I mean, Rayner's sort of stalled a bit, and Ryan's clearly got that 115 to pump him up in the price. In terms of Caddy, just under 500k from memory. It's tough to remember exactly who's around there, but I'd probably be looking at maybe a McLean, a Walters. You probably already have Petrarca or a Smith, so look, maybe McLean or Walters might be the guy, because I think Billings is just over that mark. Luke Bauer, thoughts on trading Hibberd to Hearn? Again, I'd hold the faith with Hibberd, and I certainly think Hearn is a flash in the pan. It's getting a bit late for Shorty, but no, certainly I don't think Hearn will keep up this scoring, and I would keep the faith with Hibberd. Warwick Murray up to 635 overall. Great stuff. 2,441. Thanks for all your help and tips. Hoping you finish top 5k this year is my aim instead of the top 10,000. No, mate, you're flying. That's really good. Well, hopefully some of what I've said has helped. So yeah, absolutely. No, it's good to see you doing so well. Keep us updated with your ranking, mate. You're obviously going really well. So hopefully you can, stay in the top 1,000, let alone the top 5k. Good work. Scott Smith, can't believe you still haven't mentioned Luke Ryan. Awesome at taking intercept marks and bats close to 100% every week. No, absolutely, mate. I mean, I haven't mentioned him. That's a fair call, but certainly he's a guy I've rated highly. I tried to get him in my draft league. I certainly saw plenty of his good scores last season and had all the makings of being a really good intercept player. Certainly not under my radar. He's a quality, consistent scorer and one of those key defender types that I think we'll have for some time. Matt Harms, Martin to Nick Nat, your thoughts? Nah, definitely not, mate. Keep the faith with Martin. I don't think Nick Nat's going to be a great scorer anyway. I still think he's working his way back. I reckon must have been early in the third. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was struggling scoring-wise for a while there in that game on the weekend. So, no, I'd definitely keep the faith with Martin. Lachlan Calendar, I'm just thinking of trading Salem to Simpson and Bont to Cornelio. I'm not happy with the Bont as for obvious reasons, and Salem is just terrible. Cornelio and Simpson, good options or not? As I've mentioned a few times, I'm holding Bont, but if you're committed to getting rid of him, and I can't argue with that, I understand the reasons, then yeah, those trades would be very good ones. I presume the down option for Cornelio frees up the coin for Simpson, so it all ties in very nicely, so I could understand that. Thanks for the question, mate. Cam T, what are your thoughts on Zach Fisher? 263k, averaging over 100. Don't think many watch him, but he's killing it, even with a limited midfield time at Carlton. I think he could be a good scorer, just looking at how involved he is in the forward half ball movement. Nah, definitely not, mate. I know he's going well at the moment. He's playing good footy. He's getting involved. Going well as a young man, but definitely not. I couldn't see him being a good selection. He's not cheap enough, and who knows whether this form will continue. I mean, to trade a bloke like that in could easily blow up in your face. So it's an absolute no from me, just far too risky in my opinion, but I do like the outside thinking. He could be a good one that you sort of get a sneaky selection in a draft team, so but certainly not for Classic. Thoughts on Barras at West Coast? Yeah, mate, he's going quite nicely. I mean, I wouldn't be trading him in, but he is a fairly likely type. I can't remember his scores. Let me check, because we're nearly done this one. So I think we're about 35 minutes in. So I've whipped through this one reasonably well. So I think that'll be all right. But Tommy Barras, where are you, mate? There we are, Tom. I mean, he's a good interceptor, isn't he? He's a good mark. We've certainly seen that over the journey. 106.5 he's averaging. So, yeah, definitely he's going quite nicely, 388k. I wouldn't be trading him in because, you know, with these young guys and blokes who aren't proven, it's a massive risk. I mean, this is just 2 weeks of football. I know you're probably thinking, well, Shorty, he'll go up in price if I don't snaffle him up now. I'd hold fire, mate, unless you've got a Salem or someone you want to get rid of and you want to take a bit of a punt. If it's just a luxury trade, then it'd be a no from me. And lucky last, Jeremy. Shorty, did I see you at Etihad Friday night? Wasn't sure if it was you and the other boys doing interviews with a few fans out the front. No, it wasn't me, mate. You probably would have seen me the previous Friday with Adelaide and Essendon. I was at Easter Monday, but they're the only 2 games I've got to for the season so far. But no, it wasn't me. But look, if ever you do see me around, certainly say g'day, and to anyone out there, it's always nice to see people who have a listen. So if you do see me around, say g'day and give us a shout out. But no, that must have been just someone who looked like me. So no, but look, thanks for the question, and thanks for the comment to everyone. Yeah, really appreciate the comments, guys. Certainly looks to be a popular one once again, this Q&A stuff. I've got through this reasonably quickly, which has been pleasing. I just don't want them to drag out to sort of an hour and an hour plus, and you guys probably don't want that either, because that's, you know, that's a lot of sifting through content just to find you one question. So good luck for the weekend. Hopefully what I've given you today has been of use, and obviously this one will get in before the first bounce. No Thursday night game, so it'll be a bit better this time, you know, a bit more relevant. Questions will be all before the first bounce of round 3. So all the best. I hope you score well. And gee, I hope I score well. I really am looking forward to this round. Certainly the prices start changing. That's when it gets exciting. And hopefully Shorty Superstars can bounce back. So thanks again. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.